Hello friends, Brianna here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be reacting to bad reviews of my favorite books, specifically Cosmere books, which are my favorite books, so it's not just a Cosmere themed video, because those are my favorite books. Anyways, we are now to do the bad reviews of Mistborn. All of the reviews I've been looking at are 1-star reviews on Goodreads. Juvenile, no character development, no characters I cared about, unappealing plot. If I had to read the words flared this or burned that one more time, I would have destroyed the book. Rude! I didn't care about the plight of the Ska, I didn't hate the nobility, I didn't hate the Lord Ruler, I wasn't drawn in by the mystery of what the Lord Ruler defeated, there was never any doubt about whether the protagonist, can you really call them that, would win. I was not attached to any character in the least. The political intrigue, can you really call it that, was worse than what Glenn Cook vomited up in The Tyranny of the Night. It consisted of gossip at dances. No characters paid any price for anything of consequence in this book, except for maybe one, and even that was a big meh. Okay, I know what character you're talking about, and excuse me, I am still not okay. Casey, can you believe it? Oh, okay, first of all, there's a lot to take apart here. If I had to read the words flared this or burn that one more time, that is the magic system, that is how they use the magic. I don't, like, what else do you expect them to say? I used my magic? Like, there has to be terms for it. I don't understand that criticism. I mean, I guess I can, like, if you're annoyed by it, that's fine, but you really call them that? Wow. That was a little harsh. This book would have benefited from having no characters? What does that mean? No characters? This book would have benefited from having no characters. I don't understand. That is such a harsh criticism. Did you hate them so much? Oh, okay. Taken as a novel about humans with emotions and motivations and the mental capacity to observe and analyze their surroundings, this book is an utter failure. Since being a novel is its stated purpose, I cannot give it more than 1 star, and I would give it less were it possible to do so. Every character, without exception, is at best a cardboard cutout without a spark of intelligence or an independent emotional life. Several are given names but no evident motivations for doing what they're doing. They are merely props for larger characters in the story. Without exception, every woman in the book is either stripped of her femininity or built with a sexist stereotype as the sole building material. Despite there being maybe at least 3 women with lines in the book, which frankly is more than I expected a few chapters in, they fail even worse than the men at being well-realized characters. There are very few women in Mistborn, and it's a flaw that Sanderson has acknowledged and he has gotten a lot better at. But he has stated that he put so much effort in trying to make Vin this, like, wonderful, well-rounded character, which Vin's one of my favorite characters of all time, so I don't think he failed at that. But he kind of forgot to really put any effort in with other women in the series, so that is a thing that is a fair criticism of Mistborn, is the women, not their... I mean, I don't think they were stripped of her femininity or whatever sexist stereotype, whatever you said. I don't agree with that, but there are not enough women. Oh, this review just has 1 word. Garbage. I love it. I love a 1-word review. See, it's nice, it's simple, it's to the point. I know how you felt and you moved on. You didn't write me this giant essay about everything that sucked about this book. Garbage. Honest to God, I will never understand how this book is so beloved by all. I have been so painfully bored since the very beginning, hoping it would eventually redeem itself. The entire first section of the book is all political dialogue that mostly doesn't even make much sense because the entire time Kelsier just hints at things without fully explaining them. Vin hardly speaks at all, so she basically doesn't even count as a character? Then when we get to the 2 chapters based around the magic system, I seriously just wanted to scream. I was so bored. Honestly, I think I'm the only reader in the world that could not give a shit about how magic works scientifically. Oh, you can fly? Great, more power to you. Oh, you can summon a fireball with your hands. Awesome. You can shapeshift? Fantastic. I don't need to know how the specifics behind it work. It's bloody magic. It just is. Maybe you were born with it. Maybe a radioactive spider bit you. Maybe you were cursed. That's all I need to know. That was a lot. Okay. Ooh, I'm like winded from reading that one so dramatically. I mean, I guess I understand, like, if you don't want to know how a magic system works, maybe you should be reading fantasy books, especially high fantasy with hard magic systems, because it's gonna get explained to you. You, ma'am, need to be reading soft magic systems if you're going to be reading fantasy at all. That's all I'm going to say to you. If you don't want to be explained how the magic works, and you don't want, like, all these limitations and rules and things thrown at you that are telling you how it makes sense, you shouldn't be reading hard magic systems. That's all I'm going to say on that. From pages 187 to 189, I counted the word coins used 24 freaking times. And they were used at least another 4 times on the next couple of pages. I was getting so rationally angry at the repetitive word usage, I was about ready to throw the book across the room. Like, okay, we've established that metals are the reason people can use magic in this world. You spent 2 bloody chapters explaining it. Only 2, honestly, that's not a lot. You don't have to mention them every fucking time magic is used. Except the thing with the coins is like, what... They're constantly using the coins. Like, how would they not explain that? Like, how would the word not be used when they're constantly flipping the coin and then jumping off the coins and then more coins? Like, I get it if maybe it was just used a little bit excessively in a single, like, page, but it needs to be used because that's how they do the things. Okay, this person really didn't like it. They really didn't like Mistborn. That makes me sad. Rage quit at 100 pages. So I came to an understanding that at 600 pages, how a gang of superheroes are fighting the Dark Overlord and succeed. To me, it is as shallow as a fantasy can get. I really could not get into it. I didn't hate Mr. Bad Overlord. I didn't care for the superheroes. I didn't immerse into this world. It didn't feel real. It is the same old bad fantasy that I want to avoid. It's why I'm a fan of Gurm. George R. R. Martin. Sorry, I always read his name as Gurm. Shallow as fantasy can get, huh? This author has zero sense of tension or buildup. Dialogue was as dreary as the ash filled the streets. The author listlessly throws together tired, sad fantasy tropes in plot and setting and hopes an original magic system will carry it. He fails miserably at the central task to get us to care enough to find out what happens to these characters. Vince's journey makes Twilight look good? First of all, I don't think you can make that comparison because Vin's journey has barely begun in book 1. That's all I'm going to say. Vin has quite the journey through the 3 books, and it is one of my favorite character stories of all time, so I'm a little offended by that. Makes Twilight look good! What? Here's a list of things I dislike in novels. Stilted conversation, excessive descriptions, especially about stained glass windows, ceiling tiles, clothing, corpses, etc. Obvious romantic setups that jump from "you're attractive and so am I" to "we're in love now" with no actual relationship in between. A horrid cast, only a handful of very generic female characters, forced character development, and stereotypical personalities with names that sound borrowed from other fantasy novels. A lack of consistency in terms of plot and narration. Drama. And you know, why not throw in the story itself? Swallowing metals and burning them in your soul, therefore earning magical powers, it sounds sketchy to me. Not to mention the creepiness of all the capitalized things, some of which have been impaled in their eye sockets. Not the only thing that was highly unrealistic about the novel. Ash fell from the sky? Why does nobody have lung cancer? But I'm done making fun of this. At least Sanderson is not Mole, and you get the point. That one was fun. Wow, okay. There's a lot to unpack here. Hang on. Okay, I will say the we're in love now thing with no relationship in between. The one romantic story in the first book is a little rushed, but I wouldn't say it doesn't have development. And I also wouldn't say it jumps to "we're in love now." Like at no point do they just suddenly be like, "and now we're in love" after having just met. But it is like you don't get to see a lot of the development on page, which is sad. I do wish we could have seen more of that. But I still think that their story is really cute, and their chemistry is really good, and I like that couple. But I do agree that it was a bit rushed. I like how one of the things this person listed that they don't like in novels is drama. Why are you reading books? All books have drama. Like, there's always conflict. Drama. Okay, the thing about why does nobody have lung cancer because ash falling from the skies? Guess what? If you kept reading the series, you would have found out it's a plot point. The ash is a plot point. It's not just like ash fell from the sky because that sounds cool. Like, this is like the same thing with the spread. People think that Sanderson's just like throwing out this weird like world thing just to like make his world like weird and cool and edgy, but it has a reason. There's like a reason this thing is happening, and it's a big thing, and it's very interesting, and it's like it's a lot. Okay. It's boring. DNF'd after 340 pages. Mary Sue versus Lamenting. Oh, she is so good and it all comes natural to her, of course. Lived in the streets all her life, was never raped. Do you want her to have been raped because she lived in the streets? What? And it's literally stated in text that the reason she was never raped was because her brother was always there to protect her until he wasn't. Suddenly becomes a kind of princess and can't think of anything except balls and her love interest anymore. Love interest. Pubert. Is this a fucking middle grade book? What? What's happening? I can't fathom why this book is so popular. I made it halfway through and almost died of boredom. No suspense, incredibly slow paced, superficial characters, and all written in a style reminiscent of a high school English assignment. To use a simile, which Mr. Sanderson might like to learn about, not to mention metaphor, imagery, etc. Reading this book was like chewing thin cardboard. I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch it. We're gonna step away. It was when the thief and the mage pulled out a whiteboard and started drawing a flowchart of how to conquer the fantasy kingdom that I realized wait, I'm just reading some Sad Bastards D&D campaign. I'm not sure what purpose fiction serves, but I'm positive this is not it. First of all, that scene is amazing. Second of all, it's a chalkboard, not a whiteboard. Get with it. Third of all, that scene is amazing. I love that scene so much. The prose was amateur. I cringed at Kelsier's pep talk to his crew at the beginning. We know how to take an incredibly large task and break it down into manageable pieces, then deal with each of those pieces. What, are you planning a group project or something? That section, almost many others, just came off incredible. I mean, yeah, he's basically planning a group project. Take down the Lord Ruler. It's a group project. That's why he had the whiteboard. The writing style seems to lack depth. I wish it were a bit more restrained, a bit more poetic. Interesting magic system, but would have liked to see a less stereotypical world. As it is, the characters are flat and predictable, the situation's too far-fetched and filled with miraculous recoveries. I can't say I was ever on the edge of my seat, nor were the characters breathing. They felt like cookie-cutter tropes, awaiting the reader to step into their shoes to add a necessary depth. I tried to read it like a bedtime fable, and the ideas were interesting, but the predictable prose falls flat. As a result of the story, it glimmers like glass, but does not shine or refract the depth of a diamond. Oh, less stereotypical world? I don't understand what about, Scadrial is stereotypical, but okay. Nope. It's so boring. Nope. The plot is boring. The dialogue is boring and poorly done. The characters are boring. Plus one female character for every 10,000 male characters. I mean, I thought we're in 2019, not 1019. I couldn't bring myself to enjoy them, care for them, empathize with them. The only thing that piqued my interest were the Inquisitors and the steel that pierced them. The person was bored. Summarize. The prose. Most of it is written in past tense, and at a 5th grade level or so, it is painfully dull. The characters. Even if the main character died, I wouldn't care. They are so flat and mechanical that they could all be the same person. They all speak to one another with the same uninteresting political correctness. Even when they're killing each other, they're surprisingly agreeable. Listen. The setting, it has some okay ideas to start things off, the mist and the ash and all that stuff. The plot, there is an evil empire ruled by an evil person and the good guys want to overthrow it. Never seen that done before. Listen, I will tell you right now, if you think you know the story of Mistborn, you do not. The first book, you think you know what the fuck is happening. If you kept reading, you would be thrown for a little bit of a loop. You'd have been thrown. You'd have been shook. The plot of book 1 is a bit predictable, but book 2 and 3 take you on a whole different ride. And everything you thought you knew in book 1 is not what you knew at all, so. Plot. A band of thieves spend 676 pages frowning, sighing, and raising their eyebrows at each other. Okay, I would just like to say, this is not the first one I saw. Where's that other one I saw? In this novel, there are 440 nods of the head, 299 smiles, 200 frowns, 152 shakes of the head, 166 glances, 120 sighs, 93 shrugs, 50 raised eyebrows, 31 pairs of rolled eyes, and 5 uses of the word maladroit. I want to know if this person actually went through and scanned to count all of the words, if these are the actual numbers, or if this is just an over-exaggeration. And why you would take the time to do that if you did, because the thing about writing is you have to describe things. As someone who writes books, not well, but I do write books, you do tend to reuse the same words to describe things, especially when it's physical emotion that you're trying to convey. I am personally guilty of using the raised eyebrow and the sighing way too much. It's just a thing. There's only so many words you can use to describe physical actions that people are having, especially when it's an emotional thing, physical emotional thing that you're trying to convey. That's how writing works. There's only so many ways you can convey them. There's only so many words to use. Sometimes they might be overused. Sometimes they might not. But you could go through literally any book and scan for these words and you're going to find similar numbers. That's just the truth of it. No author is going to be able to get away with just not repeating words like nods their head or smiled or raised their eyebrows or shrugged, because that's how writing works. I'm gonna stop this there because I think this is a long video. I've already filmed a lot of footage. I hope this was a lot of fun for you guys. I would just like to say I'm trying not to take any of this seriously, even though I was a little bit hurt by some of these things. So I just want to say thank you for watching. If you are new here, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. If you are someone who has not read any of the Cosmere books and you were wanting to, please don't let these bad reviews turn you off. They are the minority. Look here, I will show you the ratings. Like, there are so many more 5-star and 4-star ratings than there are 1 and 2 stars. Like, the number between those two is huge, okay? These are the minority. And like I said, like, if you don't like hard magic systems or, you know, high fantasy, or if you don't like a slower paced journey or something that's going to build up to be a 10-book series, you don't want to read Stormlight, you know, you don't want to read Mistborn. However, you should, because they're good. Everybody has their own personal preference, and if these things do not fit those categories, don't read them. If you guys liked this video, let me know if you want me to do more reactions to bad reviews of books. It's a lot of fun to film this, even if I don't agree with everything people say. I will say that, like, I try not to take it too seriously, even though these people are saying really mean things about my favorite books. Yes! Okay. If you agree with any of these criticisms that I've been reading, and you want to talk about it down in the comments, we can, you know, we can have a discussion, a polite, kind, respectful discussion where we go at it without going at it. Just keep it spoiler free in the comments, but I do love talking with you guys about these things. I'll see you guys next time. Life before death, Radiance.